You know, when they take off their seal skin, that's their soul skin, and they take on the human form to work on land, but they always have to go back to their seal skin. And that number of 7 as well, the cycle of 7, appears a lot within that kind of shape-shifting tale as well. But then people would say as well that animal stories like that as well are about taking on a form of the animal. That, you know, you were talking about shape-shifting earlier and turning into different forms, and it's a way of...
It's like a courtship thing in that sense. Because in folk songs from these islands, there's loads of different... I would put them into categories, different love songs and broken token songs, shape-shifting songs, love lost type of songs.
This song is called The Great Silkie of Salisbury, and it is a folk legend that exists all up and down the west coast of Ireland, of Scotland, and as far up as Shetland, and it's about a seal who becomes a man once he's on land. The Great Silkie of Salisbury. This is the version from the Shetland Islands. An earthly nurse sits and sings, and she sings by Lily Wain, and little ken I my bairn's father, far less the land that he dwells in. Then one arose at her bed foot, and a grumbly guest I'm sure was he, saying, Here am I, thy bairn's father, although I be not comely. I am a man upon the land, I am a silkie in the sea, and when I'm far and far frae land, my home it is in Salisbury. And he has ta'en a purse of gold, and he has placed it on her knee, saying, Give to me my little young son, and take thee up thy nurse's fee. And it shall come to pass on a summer's day, when the sun shines bright on every stone, I'll come and fetch my little young son, and teach him how to swim the foam. And you shall marry a gunner proud, and a gunner proud I'm sure he'll be, but the very first shot that e'er he shoots will kill both my young son and me.
Off Holy Island on Loch Derrygoffa on Shannon Whitegate, where I'm from, his dad used to bring us there, and there was this, what was called the bargaining stone, which was actually under the water, was hidden on the east side of the island, so you had to like get your hands, you had to know where it was obviously, but once you put your hands in, there was the big hole in the stone, and that's where you would go to marriages or deals or anything. They'd all be sealed under this bargaining stone off the island.
Where else would you look for folklore? And everybody probably knows one of the best collections of folk stories in Europe is the Schools collection from the 1930s, when it was decided that the local national schools would collect folklore. That now is online, so you can actually go online and see stories from all over the country, and it's interesting to note how similar stories occur or similar motifs, and of course folklore itself is an international study, and some of the motifs in Ireland are similar, and some of the great actually folklore scholars in Ireland were from outside Ireland. There was a group discussing folklore around this area, and I was asked, and of course immediately what came to mind was the very famous Maire Rua, probably one of the most famous folk figures, not just in Clare but indeed in Ireland. What makes it remarkable, of course, too, is that she was a woman, and a very formidable woman. There's a famous book written by one of Ireland's leading academic folklorists, Marie Connole, in which she wrote about Maire Rua, the historical person, but also Maire Rua as she survived in folklore. Growing up, I certainly heard tales of Maire Rua, one in particular that always you'd remind in your young imagination was how after the Battle of Inchichronan, her husband Conor O'Brien was killed. But when he was brought to the gates of Lemony Castle, she took one look at him and said, "No place for dead men in this house, take him away." And then the story goes, she got up on her horse, went to Limerick and married a Cromwellian officer called Cooper. That was husband number 3, I think. Folklore, of course, would say she had many other husbands as well. And of course, a lot of these stories, being folklore, you can't say they were historically. But what I find very interesting about it is the fact that that figure lasted so long in the folklore of the people in the area, and it even inspired Maire Rua to write a book on her, Maire Rua of Lemina. Well worth looking.